Hi guys, welcome to another 2-minute devotion with Dad. This is a pretty cool one. Another passing by statement about a passing by person, actually. So at the crucifixion still, along the way, they came across a man named Simon, who was from Cyrene. And the soldiers forced him to carry Jesus' cross. Now, my little asterisk, Cyrene was a city in northern Africa. So he was from out of town, obviously. He was from way away. Now, one thing that's interesting is when you go to Mark of this same story, we have a passerby named Simon who was from Cyrene, was from the countryside just then, and the soldiers forced him to carry Jesus' cross. Then it says Simon was the father of Alexander and Rufus. Now, in my little study notes here, talks about Cyrene being from Africa, northern Africa. Then Simon was the father of Alexander and Rufus, who were probably known to Mark's readers. And then we have here, compare with Romans 16 verse 13. So let's go there for a second. Romans 16:13. And here we have, greet Rufus, whom the Lord picked out to be his very own, and also his dear mother, who has been a mother to me. And this is Paul speaking in here. And one thing that's quite incredible, and here it is, Rufus might be the individual mentioned in Mark. One thing that's quite fascinating here is who God picked to be the person, to be the substitute for the substitute. What do I mean? Jesus was our substitute. He took our price. He took our place even on the cross. He died so that we wouldn't have to. And as we know, we all know what became of the result of that. But this little segment here of Simon of Cyrene now being forced to carry the cross beam for Jesus, probably because by this time Jesus was so weak and so physically destroyed, he had almost no strength left to be able to even walk himself, let alone carry something, because he was quite an unusual torture and flogging and everything else compared to normal. So Simon was picked. And now we find out, quite possibly, that Rufus was related to Simon, and now his mother, who would be intertwined with Paul, who was, the greatest apostle of all time after Jesus, pretty much. Like he's written most of the New Testament. We all know that Saul turned to Paul and all that. We'll get to that in time. But now we have this link where they are actually quite well known in the Christian world. So it just makes me wonder what happened here, or in Mark, actually, wasn't it? In Mark, I've now lost my place. There it is. Just makes me wonder how these guys were interlinked in time. It's very fascinating to me, because how many times have you, and we've all been there, we've all gone through like a chance encounter with somebody, quote unquote chance. I call it providential, divine appointment. But what are the chances that you'd meet someone or bump into someone where it leads to something else, and then you have a new reality that you think, wow, what if that never happened? I would never be in this situation of goodness now, or of blessing, or this would, you just think, I'm so grateful for this random event. Well, guess what? This wasn't random. God chose these people to do these things. And even though the word passerby is used, that's a divine appointment there. And it's important to acknowledge it for same, because when Simon was picked out, he thought he was probably going to die that day. It's probably one of the worst, most trialing days of his life. But look what it led to in all of the Acts, the rest of the New Testament. You know, it was just literally a reference. He's only referred to twice. But look at the undercurrents here. And I just want to encourage you, be open to random, be open to weird, and I'm talking about the crazy, stupid, weird stuff. But if something's happening and you get a feeling, or you go, whoa, what's happening? You know, this is just random, but it feels right. Be open to that, because this is where God is allowed to work. Now, this is right in the absolute crux. Now, obviously, crux is probably where we get this word, but this is the absolute pivotal point, the day of turning history, and this is right in the middle of it, and Simon is caught up in it. What a privilege. What an absolute privilege to be in this moment for him. He didn't know it, but when you look back, I mean, I'm guessing this guy was quite humble, probably, because we never hear about him again, apart from when Paul makes mention of him. And he would have been one of those people where, you know, sitting in the bar, everyone says, oh, tell us about that story, you know, and Simon says, oh yeah, you know, look, he made me carry the cross, and, you know, it was horrible, but, you know, and he would have probably downplayed it, because we don't hear about this guy anymore. He wouldn't have sold his story. He wouldn't have, you know, made much fame out of it necessarily, because we don't hear about him. But here we are, when we find him in the middle of this moment. He's absolutely just substituting the substitute. And if it were not for Simon, this moment may not have played out the way it did. And obviously God had a plan. Jesus knew it. This was the plan. And Simon was an absolutely privileged individual from Cyrene, north of Africa, or northern Africa. Wow. I won't say I'm jealous, but what a privilege. So yes, be open to God's chosen events that we have no idea what's going on, and you'll be amazed at what could come out as a result. Bless you guys. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.